There's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much capacity up here for bullshit that I've learned. Like you heard me snap, crackle, pop, just pointing.
Yeah. Your body's...
I'm 41, and I'm making those noises.
Yeah.
God damn it! I put on some rough miles though. We can start anytime you guys want.
I'm just going to start right now because let's launch into this because I want to let people know we are into episode 14 of Living Your Life with Leanne Lang, the podcast brought to you by Extension Marketing. And for more information, check out extensionmarketing.com. So you've already heard Jody Mitic. He's already kind of popped in because he pretty much knows how to do this podcasting thing. And then I was thinking as I was looking as an introduction to where to even start with you because it went soldier, politician, best-selling author, reality TV star.
Yeah.
Then you have father. You have double amputee. You have advocate for mental health, undergoing and still battling PTSD. Oh my God, look at you! You're about to pass out going and listing this list. Yeah.
But I'm the more you say it, the more I'm like, oh no, I need a nap. But it's a lot of that stuff overlaps too.
I know.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to lower my my workload.
Okay, when you listen to that list, for you, is there one that stands out more than another?
A pain in the ass?
Yeah, as anything, how you describe yourself or where you see the level of importance. Yeah.
I gotta be honest, Leanne. You're I see people like you, Stephen Keys, a few other maybe. Evan Sullivan now and then when he has his moments of brilliance. We're like these, we kind of do it all. We try.
Yeah. And
some of us, like you and the list I just rhymed off, are really good at deciding which direction to go in and concentrate on. And then there's people like me, and we're like the squirrel, right? We kind of just bounce around. And sometimes we're really good at something, and sometimes we're really terrible at it. But the things that I'm bad at, I seem to try the hardest at.
Really? Just because you see yourself as a pain in the ass, or because
no, because I can't accept less than my best effort for myself. But the more I try and put my best effort into some things, the less effort I put into others. So it's a constant merry-go-round of disappointing myself, which is one of the reasons I got into so much trouble with the politics. Not that politics is hard sorry. Let me rewind 30 seconds. Politics is the hardest thing I think I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. I'm it's easy.
Over the military training, the sniper training.
That's easy shit.
Okay.
You have a mission.
Yeah.
And a mission is a goal. At the end of the day, mission is just a goal. We all do. You do your fitness, nutrition goals, professional goals, life goals. A mission is just a goal. So we're here, we want to go over there. And in between is the bad guys and all kinds of obstacles. So politics, I looked at it the same, and it is the same. You have you're one place, you want to get to another. And the genius of combat is that you have to be able to improvise, right? So in World War I, they finally figured out, if we let the troops think for themselves, they'll get the job done. And that's how we took Vimy Ridge, and so on. Politics, it's the same. You have to be able to shift left, right, up, and down on the fly. But there's a whole, I don't know, from the soldier level, there's a whole other level of, there's espionage, and then there's, you got spies over here, you got counterintelligence over there. We have all that on the battlefield, too, but it's a lot more in the moment you deal with the problem at hand.
Yeah.
And the bigger picture tends to work itself out. Because you can win the mission and lose the war and vice versa. And in politics, I tend to deal with the problem head on. And it works a lot of the time, and then a lot of times it just seems to get you, not in trouble, but, I don't know, you're called abrasive, if that makes sense. And it's not that I'm a hard person to talk to, it's that I'm not, sometimes I just don't want to bend.
Do you find, can we talk about this? We'll kind of go from there and then go backwards a little bit. Because,
book.
You left politics.
I haven't left.
You haven't fully left. You didn't seek re-election.
I'm not seeking re-election.
Okay. Is it something that you still see in your future then? There's so many other factors going on in your life that you needed to take a step back from it. But it's not like you're walking away fully from politics. You can actually see yourself still staying within it.
Yeah, this is in military terms is a tactical pause.
Okay.
And I'm reconstituting, resupplying, and picking a new direction. Municipal politics. Here's the thing: you should run. Everyone, listen carefully. Everyone should run for municipal politics once in their life.
Why on earth would we do that to ourselves?
Because this is the system that governs our way of life, and this is the foundation of it. You think federal and provincial federal gets all the press because now it's Trudeau and blah blah blah, but you know what? If your toilet doesn't flush and your lights don't turn on and 911 doesn't send a cop or an ambulance or fire or all three, if there's no dog catcher, if there's no park, that's all municipal. And your municipal government does it all with less than any type of budget that the federal and provincial ways of making money just keeps growing, and ours doesn't. And we have to find a way to spend $3.5 billion a year in a way that keeps 1 million people happy over one of the largest municipal ground holdings in the world. The city of London is smaller than Ottawa and has 9.5 million people in it.
I actually try to explain that to people when I'm trying to explain Ottawa, because we don't have this massive downtown kind of skyrocket buildings and this business section, and I'm like, you have no idea, the city spreads so far out.
Yeah, and it was a part of amalgamation. See, this is the genius of running for municipal. Not only, even if you lose and you never have no chance, you have no choice but to learn, right? So the city of Ottawa, as it is now, was amalgamated under Mike Harris, as was the GTA and a few others like Hamilton and I think Kitchener and Waterloo was turned into whatever. Anyway, let's concentrate on Ottawa, where we are. So we brought in all the villages and towns around us. We brought, there was Ottawa, there was Canada, there was all those towns.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I got it.
But the land mass is our issue, right? So if I look at Stephen Blais, the councillor right next to me, he's got Cumberland. So he's got a little tiny bit of concentration in what's in his part of Orleans that he still has. But then he's got all these little villages throughout his ward. And they don't qualify for small town grants from the province or the feds like they would if they were still their own little towns. But because they fall within Ottawa, so he's constantly trying to convince the province or the feds that no, the Navan, the village of Navan, 100% needs the money that they're asking for from you, because I can't give it to them from the city level because I don't have it. And so it's this constant battle of, they would qualify except they're within the boundaries of Ottawa. And then so they don't get the money that other little villages get. But we have 1 million people, because we always get compared to Toronto, right? Mm-hmm. Toronto is like a quarter of the size of Ottawa as far as landmass-ish, maybe a third. And they have 3.5 the amount of people per Right. So it's super easy for them to keep the roads clear and to keep every pothole.
I hadn't thought of it that way, actually.
And so you got to think. So as a municipal politician, what I've learned is, and it's taxes are like crops, right? So I get shit because I'm a fan of density and height. Mm-hmm. So whenever in the downtown they're fighting the more and more to get height out of the buildings. Well, you got to look at it as a farmer, like a yield per crop. So for every acre, how much taxes can I get out of it? And if I stack 78 stories of people on top of each other in a condo worth $300,000 per condo minimum, that's a lot of taxes in that acre, right? And then that gives us more ability to deliver services to that acre. And that's why I've been encouraging development along Innis Road out in my area and things like that, because the more people you can pack into these areas, the more services you can deliver because you have more money that you can take from that spot.
It does not feel at all that you've stepped away mentally from the world of politics right now.
Yeah, but that's the math side. For shooting, right? I'm a sniper, so I look at that like a ballistics chart. If I take this ammo at this range versus this target, it all equals an equation that will probably result in a positive outcome. So I look at politics the same way that, okay, if I can get a developer to build a condo at the corner of Innis and Paget at 12 stories, they can pay for the new park in that neighborhood that'll last 40 years. So you got to think of it that way. But that's what I mean. Everyone should run so they would know when to really give their politicians shit and when to support them. Because we don't. I'll tell you right now, Leanne, in this town, in my opinion, we don't get enough support when it comes to the really important stuff. And I don't mean people are against us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying people are giving us a hard time, but my colleagues and I work really hard, I feel, to engage the public in some of the important stuff. And on the media side, and I know you're not in there anymore, but they're very hard to engage. And then the public, where they get their media, right,
mm-hmm.
depending if it's Twitter or whatever delivery system now, something good will get a headline that makes it sound kind of bad, and you just you're like, man, come on, just work with me this one time, or try to do something really good. And it's not like crying in your Cheerios. It's just like, if we all pulled together on the same rope, it might be easier. And I know we're taking up a lot of time in politics right now, but in my life, it's actually taken up a lot of my time recently, you know.
It's taken up a lot of the time. It's where you found yourself kind of after your post-military, your post, Amazing Race Canada adventures. You did find yourself in politics, and I think people were really excited because they liked you. They knew your story.
Keyword liked.
I'm talking when we're talking the voting and yet at the same time, I think as you were going through your battles, which I want to get to, because it takes a lot to feel like you're not living up to what you had promised. Yeah. You were not able to make some of the meetings. Like, there were things that were going on at the time. Okay, I want to mention right now that you're, because for those who can't see this, are you adjusting your prosthetic legs? Yeah. Are you in pain? Like,
no,
are you in pain right now?
No, not in my legs. No, it's great.
Because for a long time, and this is something you've been dealing with, there's been an excruciating amount of pain with the legs and the prosthetics. And
well, I wasn't wearing them the way that I should have. Now I am.
Yeah.
To an extent, like these sleeves you see over top.
Yeah.
You never used to see these.
No, I never saw those. Yeah.
So I wore them with a vacuum suction, and that was causing too much damage to the bottom of the legs through the suction. And because I noticed everyone with double below knee wore sleeves. Everyone else.
And you just...
Well, I was like, because you lose a lot of movement, right? You lose a lot of mobility in the knee. Because there's this. So this is like 3 or 4 millimeters. And then there's the socks that go between the leg and my leg. And that's about however many millimeters. And then there's the liner I put over my leg before I put the leg on. So that's another few millimeters. So you're talking about like almost a centimeter of stuff. For me to bend as well. So getting in and out of my Jeep, going upstairs, like things like that, like you just lose that movement in your knee.
It's funny because for so many years, especially when I interviewed you in the station, you were always coming in with your legs. Yeah. So sometimes, and you'd have pants on, right? And you were so good at walking, like I would have to remind myself that underneath the pant leg, were prosthetics, and you dealt with it so well. And yet, the more I'm reading and the more I'm understanding as to the whole experience, like I don't want to say, you put on a really brave face for so long. Yeah. And you weren't just fooling us, you were almost fooling yourself also.
You fool yourself. Like, I slept in a little today. I bought a car for my as a runaround for me, my mom, my girlfriend and stuff, like, because there's never enough cars, right? This thing broke down. It was the middle of the night the other night, so I lost a whole night's sleep there. And then you pull in here, and I pulled in here and parked, and then, hey, how's it going? One of the guys having a smoke says, I go, terrific. And you walk in because like, what are you gonna do? Stop and be like, oh man, let me tell you what the morning I've already had. I'm already 15 minutes late from the inn, and then at home, there's dogs over my apartment that weren't supposed to be there. Like, no, you can't. If the first person you got to fool in the morning is yourself, especially if you have challenges. And eventually, though, the fooling can't be fooling. You have to actually feel terrific, or you start to have the negative effects really start to pile up. Because if you tell yourself you're terrific and there's that pain in your leg, like I had, well, then you don't go to the guy to get it fixed. You know what I mean? And then you
take a painkiller.
Oh shoot! It's been a week. I should have got that fixed. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Monday, and then Monday rolls around, you're like, oh yeah, I had that meeting with the chief of police or a mayor or constituents or Veterans Affairs, or like there's so many things that you can prioritize above yourself, and it's that never-ending confusion of the contradiction that is the human condition. Like we're programmed to look out for ourselves first. We're like chimpanzees, we're like dogs, but then we also have that human go-getiveness. Like we're always trying to advance our status, and status usually comes at a cost of your physical. It's a weird dichotomy to try and figure out in your mind.
Okay, where are you in figuring this out? Because at least you've taken an opportunity to step back from it. Because can we go back to you're taking painkillers
to
deal with it?
Painkillers, but then on Father's Day 2011.
You did, okay.
That's why recently I kind of dipped my toe into alcoholism.
Okay.
Because I was terrified of painkillers, so I was drinking booze too much.
To cover the need or not want to have to pick up the painkillers?
Both. And to just, at the end of the day, the drink. I never was like that. And then I thought, this is politics. Everybody, a few of the guys, a few of my colleagues have a drink at the end of the day. Same with Parliament Hill, same provincially. And then same professionally too, because you spend a lot of time around contractors or engineers, like engineering firms, high tech, right? So like Shopify, LinkedIn, Bombardier, like when the military contractors are in town, like these are all events that happen around an open bar. And not like you're supposed to abuse it. But, when you're not driving and you're in pain already and people know you'll enjoy a drink or two, libations are handed to you at all times, Like I went to the firemen's, the international, I'm gonna get 1,000 tweets like, hey asshole, you forgot we're the International Association of Firefighters. I think that's right. Great guys, great girls, great group of people, amazing work. I always say our first responders are the first line of keeping our way of life the way it is, but they are like soldiers. They like to party. When they work hard, they play hard, and that's who you're around. That's who I was around.
Yeah.
So I just, and I'm already in pain, and it's the end of the day. I should already be home with my legs off because it's 8, 9 at night. You just have too many drinks, and then that kept rolling into. Once I moved out of my home where I was with my former partner and my kids, now there's no even less reason to be home, and you're bored. Anyway, 2017 was just a real snowball of a lot of things that were like a lot of plates I had spinning, and I lost a few. I know we're kind of bouncing around, but I'm trying to keep this as I don't know.
Well, I feel like this is reflective, however, of exactly where you're at right now. Is that fair to say? 100%. Like when I look at everything that is going on, like gosh, well, okay, and in the middle of this you write a book, and then in the middle of this you launch a book. Like so I'm looking at 2017, right? But I'm like, gosh, I just interviewed you like a year and a half ago about this book that you were, the Ordinary Heroes. Is that? When did that one?
Did you interview me for that on CTV?
I did. Yeah, like Jody, I've done so much stuff with you that this
is
almost.
The thing. You've known me longer than I've been a politician, than I've been a reality TV star, than like you.
Yeah.
If I remember the first time we met, I think you still work. Were you working there when Kurt was there?
Yeah, Jody, I was there 20 years.
Like morning.
No, 10 years on the morning.
So you would have known me because Kurt left after I came back to Ottawa. In 2009.
I'd been there. Gosh,
And so we would have. Anyway, we've known each other at like a surface level for a long time.
Right.
And so if you interviewed me for Everyday Heroes on CTV, that book came out October 07. No, sorry, 17. And,
yeah, I was going to say this was recent, Jody.
And you left after New Year.
Yeah, well, I left right before.
Before New Year.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, I forgot I had, and that's the thing.
Like, you forget you have another book in the mix.
Book came out, did a quick tour, bestseller before it even hits the
You did
shelves.
Paralympic stuff. Like, you did, like, I remember talking, no, it wasn't Paralympics. It was
Invictus.
The Invictus Games.
Yeah.
Like, I remember talking to you about your experience there, and that, I would think, would be probably the most emotional.
Yeah, it was rough. And also, I had to go back to Kandahar.
Yes, and you went back.
Cool.
You went back for the first time. So,
yeah.
Like, I remember, like, there was, like, you were looking at me like you have no idea what on earth I am going through emotionally and physically right there. You were, and I think you were actually in the chair because your legs at that point had given out on you. So, and you had gone back, you know, back into this place where all of this started in the first place. So I'm going to kind of go back there because there are some people who might be listening to this who don't fully know your story or the background.
No doubt.
There, you know, a lot of us here in the city know, but I think what's nice is that we can share a little bit more of your story. Yeah. So we're back, and I've listened to some of the podcasts and some of these stories you've done about just how you got into the military in the first place and bouncing around and kind of, you know, trying different things. Yeah. But you end up as a sniper.
Yes.
That's where you excelled. Or you
did pretty good. I ended up a master sniper. And it sounds super cool, but it really just means you get to do all the paperwork. At the end of the day, it's like being like you're a boss sniper, right? Actually, boss sniper.
That's a good name. Yes,
get that tattoo.
That's so good. Boss sniper.
Hashtag boss sniper.
Heard it here first.
So you're a basic sniper, which means you're a shooter and a spotter, and that's like the sexy part of sniping that you see on TV. Donnie
Wahlberg in that movie.
Wahlberg out there doing his Navy SEAL wannabe shit, and then there's a sniper det commander, and this is a Canadian thing. Like we're called force multipliers, Leanne.
What are you called?
Force multipliers, which means every sniper you have a sniper team on the ground is worth like a company's worth of troops because the ground we can cover visually.
Right. Okay.
Visually. Yeah, it's a great way of saying do more with less. Yeah. Roger that. 10-4. So then a sniper det commander is like it's an intermediate sniper. You're now a team leader, so you are in command of a team of 4 or less.
Okay.
Right? And then there's advanced sniper, master sniper, which means you command a full sniper platoon. You're like the master sniper in that anything sniper related, the battalion or the brigade will turn to you, and you then make decisions and assign jobs.
Is it like that guy saying to you, I've got the shot, can I take it? Is that you?
Might be you as the master sniper back in the tactical.
Yeah.
Talk. Oh man, I've been out of the game. Anyway, so the back at the HQ, you might be the guy on the radio saying, yeah, take the shot. Or you're the one telling the general, like, my guys have the shot, they're going to take it type stuff. Like, you're kind of like the liaison. But, and then if you run a course, you decide who passes and who fails at the end of the day. Like your rubber stamp on someone's certificate makes them a sniper as a master sniper.
Okay, and is it more than just having a good shot? Like because
you
talked about the math of all that stuff, but isn't there so much that goes into shooting like wind and like there's so much, right?
But the worst shot could be the master sniper. Being master sniper has nothing to do with how good a shot you are.
With your accuracy.
It's a course.
Okay.
It's you know what they
call.
It's
not as fancy.
You know the guy that comes last in med school, right? That guy. He's still a doctor, right? So the worst guy in sniper course, which is still better than a lot of people, could still become the master sniper, right?
Gotcha.
That's like the paper side of the course.
Okay.
But it is time in. It is experience. Things you do learn on the job. So I'm saying that so like it's not because like. There's this mystical aura around military stuff, like Navy SEALs. Ooh,
well, there's
SEALs. Hollywood,
right? We learn and we see this via Hollywood, and so
I know.
Like
Trust
me asking you.
Trust me.
Does it annoy you? Like.
No, it's not annoying, but it's I have a cut the shit meter for movies, right?
Okay, and where is the cut the shit? Where is that for you?
It's getting a lot lower. Yeah, I just saw the movie Rampage. And I'm like, soldiers aren't that stupid. They wouldn't do that. Like even the lowest trained, newest 17-year-old private isn't running into the mouth of a giant animal that's going to eat it. Like, they're not dumb.
Yeah.
So that is the cut. And then my tactical tactics and strategy are different, right? Strategy is your mission, tactics is how you're going to get there. When I watch a movie now, like, unfortunately, because I'm looking for them to not show soldiers or police or whatever as being dumb, like, I look at the tactics as movement, and I'm just like, I go, yeah, they wouldn't do that. Like, that's not how you would plan an attack. Guys, come on.
You
like,
know what?
just...
I watch TV shows, and I'm like, that was a bad edit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I look at things going, they missed that edit. Like, they caught, I can't enjoy certain things
half
either.
A second
yeah.
less right there, that the scene would have been perfect, you know? Or
yeah, I see things like that.
Or you watch a clip on, like, a morning news, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
But, going back a little bit here, so shooting, like, recently the Canadian Special Operations guys did a shot at 3.5 kilometers, give or take. I can't remember the exact number right now, but think about this, right? A 1 millimeter error at the end of your barrel at 3.5 kilometers is 3.5 meters.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So for a man-sized target, okay.
3.5 meters.
People-size, non-gender specific target, right? 3.5 meters is your miss. That's a miss.
That's a massive miss.
But at 3.5 kilometers, 3.5 meters is like, you just missed, right? So that shooter had his crosshairs nowhere near his target, by the way. Pulled the trigger and managed to make Carlos Hathcock, which was the greatest sniper since Vietnam, right up until the modern era. He called it a swag, scientific wild ass guess. But we all do it, Leanne. You used to do it in your job. Engineers do it when they blow a bridge or they blow a building, or politicians do it. We all do it. It's like, so this is what it is. Like, so you take all your experience, everything you know, everything you think you know, everything that you've seen, everything you can imagine, and you throw it into the pot and you come up with your guess as to what the outcome will be.
Yeah. You're
usually right. That's what makes you a professional.
But that's what makes you successful.
Right.
That was what makes you, that your guess or your...
Well,
it's going to be better than someone else's.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, if you are making a scientific wild-ass guess, it's based on everything, and science is all just experiments to see what will happen.
But I would rather one person doing their swag over another person doing their swag.
But that's the point. That's what I mean. Like, you in your role as the media professional, I could be seen as a media professional because I had a podcast, I've written books, and this. But trust me, when it comes to media, you're the expert here. Shooting, I'm the expert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we all have our roles, and so that's what I mean by the scientific wild-ass guess. So those guys, they did the calculations, like you said, wind, distance, curvature of the earth, weight of the bullet, temperature of the air, temperature of the barrel. All these things come into effect, especially at that range. And the guy said, if I remember the wording of, because I saw the video, an undisclosed place in a spot that doesn't exist. What was it? As soon as he steps there, I'm going to pull the trigger. And the guy stepped there, he pulled the trigger, but the guy was walking. So like these guys, like the shooters, like their ability to make that shot, to me, is just, it's fascinating. Like, to me, I saw a miracle. That shot was a miracle. It'll never happen again, except it will. Like, trust me, we've doubled the range now of these rifles. And Canadians are the ones pushing it because our guys are sent to places where you have to be in gunfights, but they're not allowed to be in gunfights. So they have to figure out ways to be in gunfights without actually being in them. So the best way to do that is from far away. And that's why we keep
that's
pushing
why, and that's why we're some of the best.
Yeah, like even when our guys broke the record in 2001 or 2002 in Afghanistan, they had no choice because they had to be effective in the battlefield to support our comrades, the American troops over there, without actually being let off the leash.
It's such a different way of looking at it, and it makes such sense, especially with how our military involvement, or what we perceive it to be, that you're doing it from these outlying areas. Yeah. You weren't in an outlying area. No. In fact, you were exactly in the middle of all of this. And I was, you were mentioning watching these Hollywood films, right? And you're kind of, where's the bullshit factor? When you see explosions, do you have a reaction? Like, you stepped on a landmine. There was, and I remember it because it was at night, right? So you were wearing you had night vision, so it would have come across as.
Everything went from green to black. So, but there's a millisecond of orange. Like you have kids, right? How old's your oldest?
13.
Does he or she have firecrackers ever?
No, they do the sparkler that goes on a cake.
So the sparkler, like where it actually is on the sparkler, like the spot where all the sparkles are coming from, how orange that is.
Yes.
That's the color orange I saw. For the briefest of a millisecond.
That was it.
And then I was black flying through the air, and then when I came to, it's like my night vision. I don't even know if they found my night vision goggles because the explosion blew them off my head.
I was listening to one of the podcasts that you did with Mark Hatfield, and you go into really good depth of the process because you had 3 other guys with you.
Yeah, it was me, my sniper team, and then my boss, the master sniper, tagged along.
Okay.
Right.
There were a number of you, and it could have gone in so many different directions, right?
Honestly,
the calculations of...
If one of us had to step on that bomb, I was the best one.
To be able to save that others...
May live, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's weird. The best scenario would have been I just stepped over it too. But then I wouldn't be here. I probably not have my kids. I might not have been a city council. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe I got killed on the next corner where there was a bigger bomb. Who knows? If me and my team had kept going, maybe we would have walked into an ambush and they've all been wiped. You have no idea. But if the guy in front of me had stepped on it, for sure would have killed me. And he would have lost his legs. If the guy in front of him, it could have killed both of us behind him, lost his leg. There's no other way that scenario would have worked out where only one of us is wounded. For sure, one of us or more would be killed, and for sure, things could have gone a lot worse.
The outlook that you were able to say that,
Well, those are 3 of my best friends in the world. One of them is the godfather of my kids. They saved my life, and I promised those guys, the guys that were on my team, the 2 of them that were there, plus my boss, right? I promised the guys on my team, we're gonna go home. We're all going home.
This podcast is brought to you by Extension Marketing. They are a new breed of marketing agency that acts as your virtual marketing department, designing and implementing cost-effective marketing strategies that will grow your business. I can speak to this personally, as I've been using the Extension Marketing team to help me launch and grow my business. Founder Pat Whalen has been a lifesaver for me, a genuine coach, guiding me along the way into uncharted territory. Tell them you're a friend of the show and receive a free 1-hour consultation. Check them out at extensionmarketing.com.
I had no right to make that promise, but you, as a commander or a leader on the battlefield, you kind of have to say those types of things sometimes.
And I think people need to believe it. I think in order to do what it is that you do, that we have no real concept. Those of us who haven't put ourselves in that situation, we can watch movies, we can read books, but there's nothing like it. And I've tried to picture what that scenario was like. Yeah. And them trying to help you and try to save you. I mean, when I vision what this scenario looks like,
I wish there was video. I wish there was video because I watch videos on YouTube. The videos I have trouble with the most, honestly, like explosions in movies are all fake. So it's like grenades don't go off with fireballs. Like this is the thing. Like most battlefield explosions look like firecrackers going off, just really big. There's no fire. Like there's nothing for fire anywhere. Like napalm, but I mean I don't think I ever saw napalm. We don't really. It's like an American thing. We don't really use it in Canada, but.
But it would have been enough. But the explosion goes off.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in enemy territory. Like you're at this point going, okay, who's going to get to me first?
Who's going to win the race?
Who's going to win the race to get to me? Right. If the bad guys find you first, you're done.
No, we would have fought them off. Or we would have fought to the last bullet or whatever.
Right.
I would have died anyway, regardless.
Then you're waiting to be able to see that the good guys are going to find you first to be able to get you out and medically evacuate you, right? There. And I remember you saying like you were just mad that you weren't going to complete this mission.
Well, I was
like who is lying on the ground with one leg missing, like
snipers, special operations soldiers. That's how soldiers think. I'm not a football guy, but the guys that protect the quarterback, right? So if the guy who's supposed to protect the quarterback gets smashed, bends his knee the wrong way, like ruins his career, and the quarterback gets tackled, first thing he's doing is apologizing that the quarterback got tackled. Because that's your job. Our job that night was to go in and screen for the enemy fleeing the battle group. And that didn't happen. Everything got scrapped that night because I stepped on a stupid little, like a bomb smaller than this coffee cup. Yeah, I was fucking mad. I was very mad.
You're good. No, we're good. No, we're good.
And I was 30 years old. I was a master sniper, so I was, as much as I make fun of it, at that time it was the highest achievement I had. Physically, I was peaking. I was seen as one of the best in my unit, one of the best in my trade, infantry in Canada. I was part of the top 10. Expected to go JTF, expected to do this, whether I achieved all that stuff or not after this, I was still I had commanded a team in combat. I had done many successful missions, worked with the Green Berets, worked with the Navy SEALs, worked with the Marines. Like, we'd all done well with all of this. So my resume was stacked in those 6 months in Kandahar, as well as everything else. I had nothing but shades on for the rest of my career. And I knew it, and I wanted it. I didn't join at 17 for anything else except adventure, and that bomb took it all away, right? So yeah, I was mad, but it doesn't kick in until later. Like, even now, I'm talking about it, I'm sitting here going like, man, like, yeah, my buddies that are still doing it and I keep in touch with, like, sometimes they'll start talking and I'm just like, shut up, I don't want to hear it because that should be me. Like, I watch the boys rappelling out of the helicopter as they go onto the roof. And I'm like, I should be 2 roofs over covering them with my sniper team. Or, like, I just, I miss it. And it's a gig that you don't do it to get rich. You don't do it for anything except personal satisfaction. And you do it for your friends. And you do it for your country. I buy into the whole queen and country thing. And it's...
I think there's got to be a point that you need to. You're putting your life on the line every single time you step out.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like, when you look at our police, fire, ambulance, your politicians, look, trust me, politics is service, trust me on that one, but there's certain people you need that believe 100% in this gig that we have going. Like, the corporation of the city of Ottawa doesn't function without people that believe
that they're doing things for the good.
They are serving this community as you sacrifice yourself a little bit every time. Like, I went for 6 months at a time, 9, 12 months, whatever, military deploy for. Our cops deploy every morning.
They do.
Every single morning. And they get like, right now might be the toughest time to be a police officer, whether it's deserved or not, because of social media, because of everyone thinks that they're an action reporter now with their stupid videos on their phones. And everybody edits the video. Like, you see it every time a video comes out of whatever the incident is, usually in the States, because that's where a lot of stuff happens. Find out later the video's edited by the guy who put it up. Every time. Every single time. And then you watch the whole video and you go, oh yeah, okay, it makes sense why you shot that guy. Or might not have been a thing where you shoot someone, but you know what? I'm not the one who felt their life was in danger, so I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt there, fella. Every single time. And so they have to deal with that. The community they're trying to protect is like out to get them, basically. And they spend 95% of their day around shitty people.
Who are just mad to see them.
Don't
pull me over, or,
When are you happy to see a cop? When you're the one who called them, or you're stuck somewhere and you're like, I can't, like, I have no idea. My car broke down at 3 in the morning. Where was I? Bankfield and 416. Now, I had plenty of cell phone service, but if I didn't have service, the 2 people I would have been happy to see, a reputable tow truck company or a cop. That's it. Everybody else slowing down, you're like, do I trust this person, right? But so cops deal with that all day, every day, and and they do it every morning. They put that City of Ottawa patch on their shoulder and they step out to represent the corporation, and they get shit on most of the time for it.
Do you find that you felt shit on with the Canadian military? Did you find that you had
like by the
respect?
Military?
Yeah, and by Canadians. I mean, you came back a wounded soldier.
Sorry, what do you mean? Like, did I feel shit on?
No, do you feel that people have a positive outlook on the Canadian military? That you feel that there's a respect from Canadians in general?
Now. Yeah. When I joined, there wasn't. They wanted to just disband the army. Fighting was stupid. War is stupid. fighting for land is. I remember I was Remembrance Day when I was 18, and it was still this post Vietnam era type thinking. Canadian is very.
What year did you enter? What year did you enter the military?
94, and it was the decade of darkness. And we still had there's a very unique Canadian attitude towards military and war that we can get into some other time. But basically, when we first were formed as a confederation or a colony, it was the British will protect us. And then at some point, post-World War II, it switched to, the Americans will just protect us. So we've always been, Canada's always done their military on the cheap. Trust, like it's not like it's a conscious thing. It's just, if we really need help, somebody else will come and help us because, we're Canadian.
Yeah, and yet I think as Canadians, we're always the one that people see us as helping. Not necessarily tactically, but through
tactically. Our peacekeeping reputation came because we're the only pussies. We were the only ones. Sorry, let me rephrase that.
No,
everyone else was pussies, and us and the French Foreign Legion didn't run during the battle of. Several battles on and off doing peacekeeping missions where every other peacekeeping country runs away because what's the point? In Canada and a few others that are hard-nosed were like, well, no, if you really actually want to continue this war, we're here to keep the peace and you will have to go through us. Like,
so that's how
Google Medak Pocket.
Okay.
And you'll see a story about Canadians which went unreported.
So how we became more of a peacekeeping...
No, our reputation for peacekeeping was built around fighting. I was a bouncer, Leanne. The nicest bouncer is not the one you talk about. Right? The one with the Roadhouse. He wasn't the best bouncer. He wasn't the best bouncer because he was a nice guy. He ripped people's throats out with his hand. There's a reason he was a sought-after bouncer, right? So if you're a sought-after peacekeeper, it's because they know, everyone else can run, but those guys, those Canadians, even though they have shitty equipment and their morale might be low, they're going to whoop some ass when the time comes. We didn't become the World War I most feared shock troops on the front. The Canadians are moving in? Great. Let's just pack our bags now because they're going to come and kill all of us.
I think I need a refresher.
We're not nice people when it comes to fighting.
I hadn't seen us like that. These are things that I think it's interesting. I like learning things that I don't know.
Yeah. But it's not that you knew it. You just didn't.
I didn't know why.
You didn't know the spin.
No, I didn't.
So everything gets spun. Why is Canada such a great peacekeeping nation? Because we kill everybody who tries to break the peace. There's no other way to keep peace unless you kill everyone who's trying to break it. You can't have both. It's not like we can walk around going, tut tut now, young fella, put that away. You're in a country full of people that want to kill each other, so you gotta...
Are you still... I know you said sometimes it's hard listening to your buddies telling you where they are or what's going on.
My buddies? It's just because I missed the adventure.
But do you see that they're enjoying their work, or they like the work that they're...
They love their work.
Yeah.
We're an all-volunteer force, right? So, and we, the one time we, in World War I, almost caused a civil war, right? French versus English. So we kind of learned our lesson there. I gotta be honest, I don't know if we went to conscription for World War II. I don't think we did.
Now you've lost me. Now,
this is like the Rogan podcast.
So I don't, and Gary Vee's not on the other end with 10 people with phones.
But what I'm saying is I don't know how we got on this Canadian reputation for peacekeeping. This is why... This is the setting I've been dying to talk to you in. Because I used to hate our 4 to 8 minutes that we had together before.
It's funny because that was the one thing that... Listen, I loved what I did, right? But there were so many guests that I had on that I was dying to go, and it would be 4 minutes to talk about this, right? 4 minutes to talk about, hey, you've got a book. There's an entire book of the stuff that we're talking about, but it's you've got your 3, what was the premise, what's the reaction, and this... I know that there are so many interesting people and stories who have information and knowledge that are going to help other people, I was so excited when you're yeah, sure, no problem. But I'm
I was honored when you asked me, Leanne, when you retired and then you announced your podcast. It's I'm not even gonna call her or text her or BBM her or whatever. I'm if she thinks I'm good enough to be on, I'm just gonna wait for that call. And when you called me, I was no fucking way.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest. I was surprised because I didn't think I was good enough for your show.
Jody, first of all, I think I messaged you pretty much right after.
Not long.
But I was there's a lot going on with you, Jody. Yeah. Are you good to to come in? And you were like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, okay, because at that point there was, there's a vulnerability also to you.
Well, I appreciated that you actually waited until a while after, because you just announced your podcast before New Year's, didn't you?
Like right around, that I was doing it.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm only 14. You're 14, right?
But 14 can take a long time depending on how you do it. Like I didn't realize you had a studio. I thought I was going to your house. Like I said, Holly Lane. I didn't know was this row of industrial buildings. Yeah. Now I know. Now I know. But
and it's a pretty cool space.
I mean, it's dope. It's awesome to have a podcast studio. Like, I wish I had one. My apartment living room, which is open concept, is my studio. But
but you know how, like, for me, like, this is technical. Like, Veronica's sitting back there.
I don't do any of this stuff.
I know, but, like, everyone's like, just do it yourself. And I'm like, there's not a chance that I know how to do this and, like, to press the right buttons or know that it's going to work out. And
the beautiful part about podcasting, though, is if we had the right app on my iPhone, we could do a podcast.
Yes.
And it's awesome.
And I think there's amazing ones out there, and I'm actually just opening myself up to what's out there and the stories that are being told, and everyone can find something that's, interest to them. Like on yours, like a lot of people know with this, it's health, wellness, education, information, and I'm trying to kind of go large spectrum on this, but like with yours, what is your focus?
That's one of the reasons I stopped it like a year ago, is I realized the focus was being lost. And it was becoming. What
did you intend it to be when you started?
Just like a bro down.
Okay.
And not bro
down. So it wasn't
like
military. Like was it?
Well, it started to become military, which is good.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I realized I need to help military entrepreneurs. I need to help former military that are dealing with injuries. I need to help first respond, and by help, like, am I helping? I don't know. I'm gonna do something that I think will. So give them a platform, let them like a long run, right? So like, they can go on CTV Morning and talk to Leanne and say, this weekend we're having the first responders run. Come help raise money. Cool. And a few people will come out. Usually it's friends and family of the first responders, and that's fine. You raise some money, but what are we really doing?
Yeah, like I want to know, what is that first responder going through? Why is there a need?
Yeah.
Where are the funds going? Is it going towards rehab? Is it going for them to what's it for? But how did they get there in the first place? And so that, I think, is the question that people aren't asking. And I do think that as mental health, and there's more awareness that's coming about, but you're speaking, and I think, when you have the book Unflinching.
Yeah, that's my book about me.
Yeah, but there comes and we haven't even gone into the recovery and learning how to use. Like, I'm gonna have to do. No, I realize that I'm just gonna have to do 2 podcasts with you. Like, that's just the way it's.
We can do 10.
We're probably gonna end up doing a lot of them.
I want to be a repeating guest.
Well, we're there, because I'm looking at the time and I'm going, how am we gonna get through all of this? Because I think let's save that. Let's go into PTSD recovery. Why it's so difficult. I heard. I had an event a couple weeks ago, and I heard the amount of suicides amongst American military was astounding. I couldn't believe the numbers.
What was the event? Do you remember?
It was like Sergeant Ken. He's a boot camp guy, but he does a lot of the military training, like workouts, like.
He's Canadian?
He's American.
Black guy.
No, Sergeant Ken. No, he was white. He looks like Mr. Clean. But he started his speech, like his keynote, and it was a statistic. Like, it was like 40,000 a year. Like, it was a number that I.
The statistic or the number? Because you got to be careful.
Yeah, but it was suicide.
The statistic is no bigger than the average population.
Really?
Yeah.
For me, still the number is. It's still.
But American. See, here's the thing. Like, it doesn't take away from it.
I don't want it to take away from it, because
I shouldn't say it's no bigger. It's not much bigger than what you would expect from an average population. Which is like listen, I'm military. I don't want my brothers and sisters killing themselves.
Based on what they experienced in their job, protecting Canadians. And having to see.
Yeah. Well, you're talking Americans or Canadians?
I'm talking both. I'm talking.
I know, but that's the confusing part. I'm not trying to mess with you. I'm trying to tell you, like,
Well, this was just happened to be an American stat that I heard at an event. I don't know what the numbers are for Canadians, but it's for one is more than.
But one's going to happen, and that's the thing. I've learned enough of my friends have killed themselves that I think it's just a side of, and I don't mean to say it's just, but it's something we have to accept as a side effect of the gig. And by gig, I mean the job. And so why does it happen? I know guys that have killed themselves because they break up with their girlfriends. I know guys that I know one guy, his ex-wife sent his kids to live with him. This is the story. This is the overall story. Financial. One of my buddies had survivor's guilt from when his Jeep hit a mine and he was the only survivor. I've had thoughts once of like what it would be like to like not be around. It wasn't like I should kill myself, but I had that thought once. There was just so much going on and it was just be so much easier, but it literally was the only time, and it was like for a second, right? I've never had other thoughts, thankfully, and I recognize them. But I think, and then you got to look at like there's high school kids, there's college students, there's teachers, dentists apparently are the highest suicide rate in the.
Well, can you imagine going to work every day and people don't want to see you? Dentists, most people do not sit in that dentist chair going, my goodness, I'm so happy to be at the dentist today.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
and
I want to off myself.
No, but they can't communicate with their patients because their mouths are open. Like, I actually can see, like, it.
So that means we're going to off ourselves? We don't know.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I can understand in that profession.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more. Maybe it's why it's a higher rate than.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So now we got. You can.
Oh my God! I did not anticipate us going. You can
see it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, okay.
Let's go back to the opening thing that you said. Look, and I'm not trying to mess with you. I want you to care, and I want you to care for the right reasons. Military mental health advocates are not like any other marketing people out there. They will look for what the numbers and the statistics and the issues that will get your attention and get you to donate money or care. Great, perfect, awesome. I'm part of that group. I'm one of them. But when you throw out a statistic like 40,000 former American service personnel take their lives every year, okay, there's 10 million of these people per year. I can't remember perfectly. If I remember right, 3.5 million people retire from the American Armed Forces as a whole is 3% of the population, I believe. Might be less. 3.5% of 350 million is.
You're the math genius here.
Exactly. 5 million-ish, give or take. So then you see how many of those retire every year. You're looking at, a turnover rate of 500,000 a year. So, you add that up every year, like 40,000 of them killing themselves. You're like, well, yeah. I mean, there's millions of these people.
I guess I guess I want to be more sympathetic. I think I get that. I get that.
But what are we being sympathetic about? The number, the cause, or just the fact that they're killing themselves? If it's just the fact they're killing themselves, and they just fall under suicide, because people kill themselves for no reason that we can tell. But you got somebody that's a hardened combat veteran. I'm
sorry. I would think that the experiences of what. You just even mentioned your buddies going through survivor guilt. They're in a Jeep and every one of their comrades
But they're also trained for these moments.
Fine. I guess I'm not, I get that you're trained for these moments, and I get that officers are trained for moments and and you get to, I look at the Humboldt tragedy. No one is prepared as much as we think to go to a scene of devastation, and I do think that it does.
So the Humboldt, are you talking about the first responders or the bus driver? Like, who's not prepared for that?
You're telling me that the first responders are.
No, I'm not.
I don't think they're.
You're right. That situation is probably something unique in every first responder's career that they will probably never see anything like that again.
But when we talk about PTSD, these are things where you're going about your life, and in an instant, your thoughts, your experiences change.
Yes, and that's where I. Now we're back on the same page.
Right. Okay.
What are we really talking about? I learned because I lived with someone with PTSD. I have not been diagnosed with PTSD at all.
Was Alana?
Alana, yeah. Well, she was a
like,
combat medic.
Like, and I mean,
And
but she was your medic. I mean, you guys met.
She wasn't my medic. She was part of the team that helped evacuate me. Like, she herself didn't, like, she put an IV in me, and her ambulance drove me to the evac spot. But
Jody, you ended up marrying her. I mean, there's a story.
We didn't get married.
They have 2 children.
I know.
Okay.
But listen, I'm not saying it's not an awesome romantic story, but what I'm saying is Alana's PTSD didn't come from helping me.
No.
It came from many situations over an entire career, not just in Afghanistan, from her 23-year career as a Canadian Armed Forces member. She has 3 commendations for things that she did with civilians. She has 3 military commendations for saving lives outside the military. I was there for one of them. Mm-hmm. She's like a superhero. She jumps out of the truck. It was at Surville and Innis. Coming out of Costco, somebody got T-boned, and we pulled up, and one cop is there running around like a squirrel, just looking for a spot. Like, he was just so overwhelmed. And I pulled up, and I said, Alana, you're up. And because she was on her phone, she goes, what? I go, back that van, injured people. Drops her phone. Look, I'm going to tear up, right? We don't even live together, but I'm telling you, seeing her, you know, she's only like 5'3", right? So she's small. Anyway, jumps out of the truck, dives in the shattered back window of this Toyota minivan, crawls up and stabilizes a 3-year-old little girl's spinal cord until the firefighters can extract her. Now, that little girl ended up passing away, but she lived long enough to be taken to the hospital because Alana jumped in the back of that vehicle and did what she does. And then she had to testify, and then she had to do this, and she had to meet the family. That whole experience is enough for one person to be like, fuck this, and like just throw everything over their shoulder and walk out of life. It's just another thing for Alana, right? So I'm saying her PTSD wasn't because of anything she saw. It's a multitude of things. PTSD is not something that only military first responders have. Like, you could walk out of here now and see a dog get hit by a car. For you, in your mind, that's enough for PTSD to set in temporarily. The problem we have, I think, is a whole in society is we don't take mental health seriously. You're normal until you're crazy. And that's not acceptable, because you and I can go to the pharmacy across the street and get, like, if you have a bad ankle, I'm fascinated with ankles because I don't have any anymore. But if you have a bad ankle and I have a bad wrist, the pharmacist could probably give us a bandage that'll support it. And if I have a cough, he or she could be like, yeah, just try this. Your cough sounds dry, try this. You could just get that over there. If you're feeling a little blue, like, even saying I feel blue, like, what does that even mean? And who do you talk to? We have a real problem with access to mental health care in this, like, in all of society, not just Canadian, the world. And we don't take it seriously. There are still societies in this world where they have like an annual cleansing of the soul type ceremony, or they celebrate death, or they celebrate tragedy, not in a way to celebrate and feel sorry for themselves like we tend to do in the Western world right now. Like, 9/11 isn't seen as a thing to celebrate, to be stronger. It's almost turned into this, like, woe is me moment. And I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but I'm okay with it. But it's...
Listen, that changed.
I know the mood here just like...
Yeah, well,
I feel like I took the air out of the room.
No, you didn't. No, it's just... And I think what you did is created another conversation. And I think that's... Sorry. No, it's... And it's a conversation that I think needs time. It needs to breathe, and it needs to kind of evolve. So I'm going to save that one.
I know we keep... Are you making a list in there?
Well, no, because I'm getting the whole... And I'm looking at, at the timing going...
How much time do we got left?
We've been like an hour.
How much time do we got left?
So I'm like, well, I got to wrap. Because... Do
you want to finish on like 5 minutes on one thing in specific?
Yes, because there's people that are listening, and I want them to feel when they kind of press the, stop button that there's something for them to take from this.
Yeah, I understand.
Like, do you know what I mean?
No, I'm with you.
And I know I've made a list of like 3 other topics that we're going to get onto, because we'll do this again. But a lot of it is for you is the never quit. Like there, you've got your little slogans, and I think people are sitting here going, "My gosh, this guy's just bombarded me with 1,000 different thoughts."
I'm a little baffled myself about what I said. I'm gonna have to listen to this myself and just figure out what the fuck am I talking about. Do I have a point to any of this, or
I think you do. Like, well, you're passionate about things, and I think you're true to you're true to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's gotten you into your own trouble, kind of as it is. So, okay, let me leave it with you. Like, if people are walking away from this, and I think right off the top you were like, everyone should run for municipal politics at one point. So there's.
Yeah.
That was the first thing.
No, I'm serious about that. Yeah. Depending on what subject matter you want to get into, Leanne, we are very...
I want to ask, okay, let me do it this way.
Sure.
With all of the things that I listed at the top of your long list of things that you have accomplished, you also have 2 beautiful children.
Oh, best.
Is there let's go with this to end it. People are suffering. People are going through depressions. People have lost jobs. People are financially in trouble or scared. They're worried about how they're going to provide for their family.
I'm all those things too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a way to enjoy and take things out of life. Like, let's go with that. Because you've got 2 less, you've got a double amputated, missing parts of your legs. You've got a relationship which had the beautiful love story, and then... We won't even get into that. I do like Alana.
Well, we can get into it later.
But you have 2 children from this. Like, life does work. Like, there is recovery.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, I made a decision a long time ago before I was ever hurt. Like, I had depression as a teenager. My parents split up. My dad was an immigrant. Alcoholism on both sides. You're a product of the people who make you, and you're a product of your environment. You're also a product of your decisions. One thing I try to do the most is own my decisions, and that's one of the things that gets me in a lot of shit politically, I think, is I'm not, why are you at work? Well, I'm drinking too much. Why would you say that? Oh my God, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I always look at, there's crisis crisis can be dealt with in 2 ways. The Tiger Woods way, which didn't go well at all, or the David Letterman way. So David Letterman, do you remember when he someone was trying to blackmail him for the affair he had?
Yeah.
And what he did, he went out and he said, I'm paraphrasing. I normally do a funny monologue, but right now I'm going to say, hey, the guy who's trying to blackmail me, the cops are on the way to their house. Honey, I cheated on you, and I'm really sorry about that, and we're working on that, and that's nobody else's business. But this guy tried to make it everybody else's business, so I'm just going to do this. Owned it. Carried on with the show. Best ratings. Ratings went up. Okay. Tiger Woods, well, he's still recovering. So whenever I have a problem, and if being a public figure, right? I don't know if you read the article or the blog that blogger, whose name I will not repeat here, tried to put out to smear me and my girlfriend that I have now, and my family, my former partner. Completely unnecessary. But you have to own something to the extent that you can. So I made a decision a long time ago to own my mistakes as well as I can, and to make a decision that every morning I'm in charge of me. So, am I going to be in a good mood or a bad mood today? Well, I want to be in a good mood. So when someone, like I said at the top, right?
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going today? Terrific. Is it terrific? It is if you want it to be, Jody. But why wouldn't it be terrific? Well, I got bills to pay. I'm behind on that. My kids are waiting for me there. I'm late for Leanne's podcast. My coffee is cold, and my battery on my iPhone is at like 12%. But other than that, the sun is shining. I'm not in a hoodie, so I'm not cold. And I got food in my belly, and that's another day. You know what I mean? So you got to balance it. So you could have been shitty, like Leanne has never been shitty to me, by the way. I'm just saying, as an example, I could have walked in, you would have every right to be mad at me because I was 10, 15 minutes late. I should have been on time. There's a lot of reasons why you could have been not happy with me and been totally justified. You decided, no, it's Jody, I know him, and I know we'll have a good podcast, and, whatever. These are decisions we both made. I was fully prepared to get a blast, but carry on, and you were fully prepared to deal with me as I was, right? So these are decisions we made. if you'd been mean to me, in my opinion, if you'd been mean, I could have let that ruin my whole day.
It's the decision, it's the mindset that we
I
put
think so,
ourselves in.
but you got to remember too, you're not going to win that every time.
You're not.
And you do it, and I do it. If you wake up in the morning, I wake up a lot of mornings, I look at my prosthetics, and I'm just like, fuck, like I just don't want to deal with wearing those today. But then the list kicks in, this, and this. So the decision is made to use the wheelchair. That used to be a really hard decision. Like that used to be an impossible decision for me. It was always legs. Part of 2017 was learning to live without prosthetics. Like travel.
I remember that. I remember how big of a deal it was for you.
Well,
it's the decisions that we made. Okay. Because I'm gonna get kicked off. As much as this is a beautiful studio and everything. So when will we have you back? We'll book it in.
Just stop and
we'll
restart.
do a part 2. We're just gonna do that. We'll start where we left off. I got like Veronica's looking at us. She's smiling.
Are we
going,
really an hour 1 minute?
No, we're not actually. We're more than that because I forgot to start it when we actually started. So
4 minutes.
Yeah, we're about 105. But
This is
people
the
have to get out of the car.
podcast. Hey, Mark Hatfield, pay attention. You got to do better than this next time, bro.
I don't have a table for you to sign though. That's the one thing I did like.
Table?
Yeah, did you not sign? Oh no, because Mark came to you. Right, if I remember correctly, you
Yeah,
guys even
'cause I
talked.
couldn't wear my prosthetics.
You guys even talked about what would happen on this vinyl couch that you guys were on. But usually, Mark, you sign a table. Okay, we got to wrap this up. That is episode 14 of Living Your Life with Leanne Lang. But definitely, we'll have Jody back on. We'll do a part 2 followed by a part 3.
Can you come on my podcast?
Oh my God, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there we go.